Welcome back to the Pool Pro Podcast. On today's episode, pool builder JC Escudero discusses the importance of maintaining a strong relationship with pool builders. He also stresses the importance of education on both sides. Stay tuned for a great podcast.
And welcome back to the podcast. I'm here this week with JC Escudero. He's a renowned and respected pool builder in the Los Angeles area. He's a Genesis 3 graduate. He's a verified water shape professional by WaterShape University. And JC, tell us a little bit more about yourself. How did you get to where you are today?
Hi, Dave. Thanks for the invite. I'm JC Escudero. I was born in Mexico, actually, and I hold 3 nationalities. I've been pretty much all over the world. My family lived in Europe for a long time. So when I came back to the States, that was right after 9/11. I said, it's time to go home. So things were going good. I had a daughter, my wife, and here in the United States, my son was born. So they're 10 years apart, my daughter and my son. And I live in LA. I work out of LA. We are a family-owned business. And that's how we really started 12 years ago. Yeah, so my company is J Designs Pool and Spa. I'm based out of Los Angeles. I work and live in that area. The reason why I got to here is because I used to work in the industry as a superintendent for a large builder in Southern California. And I got basically just thrown into the industry with no knowledge, go do this, go do that, and as a superintendent. And then after, couple of years, you start to learn, you start to pick up all these things. But yeah, you're a tradesman. So there's a missing link in the industry at the time. And Genesis filled up that gap. And all the classes and studying besides transitioning, from working for someone to a pool builder.
Now, how many pools did you build when you were?
Well, when I was a superintendent for this company, we used to excavate about 30 pools a month. Oh, wow. So there were a large number of pools, and at times we had easily 65 to 75 pools open any given month.
So you were running all over the place.
We were running all over the place, yeah, miles and miles all over. We had 4 or 5 pools in the same street sometimes. That helped.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, it was fun, but at the same time was out of control. So getting everything and getting the education and getting into learning how to do things properly was just crucial. We basically had not enough hands, not enough people we could find, not even hire them because they were not available.
Which is a problem that still kind of exists today.
It is, and I think it's pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lack of understanding how all this works of tradesmen, and it's not just the pool guy job. It's not just for the summer.
Right.
It's a career. It's something that you can do very well and earn a very good living out of it. And there's a lot of younger crowds that need to know this and need to happen.
I agree with that. Yeah, we need to recruit better.
Yes.
So, one of the things that you told me earlier that because of that lack of manpower, you actually got unwillingly kicking and screaming. You got thrown into the service end of things.
Exactly.
Tell me how that went.
Well, it was just like I said. It's like there were some days we were plastering 6 or 7 pools by different contractors. So the next day was literally crazy, filling them up, turning the waters off, and sometimes the homeowners are not even in town. So there was a lot of things that had to be taken care of. And we all know, it's very crucial. The startup is very crucial. When you fill up a pool,
that's everything.
The plaster, it's like baby skin. So it needs to be taken care of, and you can't use anything too aggressive, and you have to balance the water right away. So I started doing the startups because we were shorthanded. Mm-hmm. And it started to, come to me that, I don't know anything about it. Why am I doing this? So I had the need to learn. So the first thing I did is turn around and looked at the NPC and find the nearest CPO class. Jumped on into it, and from that point on, my life changed because I knew exactly what I was doing, how it was supposed to be done, what not to do. So important. There's many don'ts in a pool that
That's true.
most people
Very
don't
true.
know. And to start by, checking the house water. How do you know if it is already aggressive?
Yeah.
And it's going to tear up your plaster and you didn't do anything to it.
And how long ago was this at that?
This was about 22, 23 years ago.
And that's a good point about the tap water, because Southern California tap water has changed drastically from that time until now. Used to be, we always thought we had really hard water. We had high calcium hardness, and we were always fighting scale and other problems. Now, LA tap water is extremely low calcium. You've got very aggressive water going into the pool. Actually, it comes in kind of balanced on the LSI, but the minute you compensate for the high pH, then if you don't do it all right at the right time, you've got a real problem on your hands. So that's, as a builder, I highly commend you for taking that step and knowing it, studying all the pool service end of things. I take it didn't lure you into that end of the business.
I know, yeah. So yeah, that's how we just jumped into it and got, all that learning curve went through that. And there were just so many pools that we were doing, so I had to practice a lot. I had a lot of pools to practice with, and luckily they're all nice.
Yeah.
Some went sour. There's always, reason with cements and everything.
Yes.
We went in Southern California also a big period of time where cementous surfaces were just really bad materials that hit the industry overall in general, and plaster companies. A lot of them went down under just because they couldn't take
material shortages and sourcing from different places. And
yes, so that's something that is very tricky. As a builder now, I'm at every stage with my pools, especially the plaster. I need to know what they're mixing, what is not, and I document everything. I have to do the chemistry. I have to check everything. I even do it, and I have a good relationship with a lot of pool guys, pool service companies as well, and we both, come together and do the work and get the pool going.
Right. Well, that's exactly what I wanted to talk with you about, because we've been talking about the relationship between pool builders and pool service companies. And a lot of times that is a relationship we're more at odds than I think we should be. There's a certain amount of distrust and misunderstanding between the two. And it sounds to me like you've kind of conquered some of those things. And so I'd like to really, really talk about how we do that. What, as a builder, are you looking for when you align yourself with a service company?
Right. Well, it's a very good point. The first thing, I have to build a relationship. So I have to know who's going to come to the pool and who I'm having a relationship with. How, as a builder, I have to also set my grounds and tell them, look, on this pool, we have this material. This should be done. Overall, you're going to take over, and we're still working together. My client's still my client. And as we discussed earlier also, we have a lot of client-homeowner relationship, and they put in a lot of money into it. I put in a lot of time into these pools as well, from designing, from everything. So we build relationships.
And that can be years sometimes, from the germ of an idea till the pool's full of water on some of these big properties, especially in LA, can be years.
Exactly. A lot of the times, the house has been built simultaneously. So we have to step back and wait for the stucco guy to finish before we get into our hardscape or put our coping, etc. So that relationship starts there with the client.
Right.
So when I bring somebody that I'm recommending, it's because I already have a relationship and I want to have him come over and take this pool. Now, Southern California is pretty large, so not all pools are very close.
Yeah.
So pinpointing who's the best person and who's the best service company for this pool has a lot to do with the client as well. And sometimes it doesn't work, that relationship.
Yeah.
But we move on and we solve the problem. The homeowner is paying, again, a lot of money for this pool. So the relationship and how things need to be done, how to keep a chart, how to monitor this water and keep me updated is crucial. We
Yeah.
got to keep logs. We have to do it pretty much, by the book. And
Yeah.
that eliminates a lot of the issues.
And that's finding the right service company that's willing to go through all of those steps is huge. As a service company and working with high-end builders of your stature, that's the thing that I've come to appreciate about you guys is that how much time and energy and blood, sweat, and tears you put into a job over the years. A lot of times we're not told how much the whole project costs, but it can be upwards of $1 million on some pools. And
Right.
so we have to be aware of that when we come in to work with someone like you. We have to know that you're our client.
Right.
The homeowner is your client. You are our client.
Yes.
And-
That relationship and that what you're mentioning exactly, it's the mutual goal.
Yeah.
And the pool service company needs to understand that we have already a relationship, and a lot of pool service technicians, pool guys, or service companies. What I found with them is that they think they know a lot, and to a certain point, I give them a credit. They have a lot of experience. They've been, having their routes for a long time, but they're not keeping up the pace. There is a lot more educational wise that they need to also understand. The other day I was mentioning to a client, we're going to have this type of plaster and we're going to do this procedure for the startup. I'm going to be there and come over so I can start explaining you what's the equipment, how we're going to work it. I'll do all the programming for you and we'll tweak it. And then I'll show you what to do here and there. He says, oh, no, don't worry. I know everything about it. I go like, well, show me, because it's not the same. Just coming in and sweeping a pool than keeping this plaster he's never heard of. I go like, well, you need to see and feel it and touch it. If you don't know what type of material is, how are you going to fix it? Or, how are you going to maintain the water properly and balancing it? So that relationship, it's going to be, at the end of the day, in benefit of the client. Because I will look good with my client because I told him 2 years before we started the project, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm doing it. This is what's happening when we put water in. And this is going to be Joe that is going to come in and he's going to take care of all these things. Oh, okay, great. And then all of a sudden we're filling up the pool with water and your customer comes out and says, where's Joe? We're like, well, we had a problem with Joe. I can't do that.
Yeah.
We have to have a good relationship, and that benefits everyone. In having that communication and that level of expertise that I can transmit also to the pool service technician, I think is crucial.
If I was going to say anything to the pool service techs who, once you break into that level of pool that we're talking about, the estate pools and the bigger, more complex projects, when you find a builder that's willing to give you those accounts, don't let go. Don't be Joe. Don't be at the end of the project, where's Joe? But the one thing that I really, that helps me immensely, and it's happened on a number of pools that I've gotten from the estate builders, is to get on the job as early as possible. To see the job, see some things as they're going in, not just to wait till the pool's full of water, get over here, but to be able to really kind of plan out and wrap my mind around, some of these pools have multiple pump systems, multiple filters, multiple heaters. Tying all that together into an automation system, and how are we going to program it, how are we going to set it up, is a process. You don't just sit there and do that in one sitting. And so I've always appreciated, number one, it's just fun to see a pool as it goes in
Right.
when you're on the service end of things. And the other thing is just be able to have, when there's finally water going into the pool, you're not scrambling to try and understand everything that's there.
Exactly. That's a really good point. Not too long ago, I had a company service company that I referred to a client. I introduced him and everything went well. And I set all the electronics and the timers and everything, and I told him just keep this spa wall wet as soon as the sun comes up until the sun comes down. Well, there's a construction explanation to that, and
Right.
there's this style. It's going to require that. We took so much care designing it and putting this water feature as a spa to run all day so the client can see it.
Right.
Not only that, I'm also avoiding a lot of problems, a lot of things that I know the sun is going to hit that tile.
Yeah.
It's going to create calcium. It's going to create all kinds of other, water stains
Yeah.
that they're not related to the actual water chemistry. They're just normal minerals in water. And a lot of the times, they may not understand that part of the explanation. So they come in and they change the timers. And now my spine is not running and it's getting all these watermarks because the sun is hitting it. And the tile, when you touch it, is 130 degrees.
Yeah. Vanishing edge pools,
yeah.
vanishing edge walls. It's highly crucial because, like you say, when the sun is beating directly on that wall, it can be well over 100 degrees on the surface of that tile. Right behind that is very cool pool water.
Yeah.
And that temperature differential can be 40, 50 degrees or more.
Exactly.
And so it's crucial that when the sun's beating down there, that we've at least got that pool water trying to cool the surface down.
And that communication that just happened, between the service guy, and if he didn't understand the communication, what I wanted to have, well, he just created a problem with the client. So that's no good for him and it's no good for me.
Right.
So that communication, relationship, and how the job needs to be handled, it's very important. Or at least for a good part of the beginning. If things change, there's also things that you may adapt as a future. We're not clairvoyants and we don't have X-ray vision, so I cannot read the future either.
Sure.
But climate conditions may change, the water may change, we may have some things to adjust.
Yeah.
But they will be just that, adjustments. And that's what your client is expecting, because I told him that 2 years ago. And that's where Joe comes in and can do the things right. For both.
And see, going back to the idea of running the water on a vanishing edge wall, by changing that, the pool service person just created enormous problems for himself as well, because that grout's going to shrink. You're going to start to get efflorescence behind it. They're going to be efflorescence at the edges because water's going to do what water does, which is evaporate and leave stuff behind.
Yes.
So he's, by not listening to you, has created himself a nightmare, because it always comes back to, well, the pool guy's not scrubbing hard enough. That's why this is building up.
Heard that many times.
Yeah. And so that's where I think it's crucial for a pool service technician to educate himself and understand the whys and wherefores of this.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times it's the customer asking them, hey, my electric bill's killing me. And these are people with unlimited funds, pretty much. But they'll look at an electric bill and go, can we trim $100 off it? But you have to be able to, as the pool service professional, have the understanding of, yeah, sure, I can run it whenever you want to run it, but here's going to be the end result. This is what I know. This is what JC the builder told me. If you have any questions, you can call him. But that's where you develop that synergy between each other.
Right.
Not throwing each other under the bus, working together.
Yeah.
And it all comes from understanding, from kind of at least knowing enough about each other's realm of knowledge so that you can be both telling the customer the same set of facts.
Exactly. Being proactive, that's what it's been the key factor, I should say. And that communication that I have and the trust I give him, it's like, you can call me anytime. Tell me what's wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I can access these automated systems from a house. So I can tweak it for you. Just tell me what you need or what the client wanted. And he didn't call me. He didn't send me an email. He just told you. So just transfer that information to me. We'll fix it. We'll get that organized. We meet clients' expectations. And we're going to meet together.
Yeah.
Expectations.
And that's just it.
I
You're
am
giving,
going, yeah,
it's a better end result for the client.
yeah.
It's two people working in their behalf, not
And
just one.
also, a lot of the times the service technician may not have the answer, so he needs to call me.
Yeah.
I tell him the first thing you see wrong, the first thing you have an issue, a question, something warranty. There's a seal that may be pinched while we were building it, and it might be now dripping a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. Just give me a call. Don't go knock on the door and say, "Oh, your pool is leaking." Well, no, this is something that is
Right.
normal. It's resolved, and it doesn't cause any
Rocks
any
get
issue
kicked into
or
the
anything.
pipes when they're laying in the ground.
Yes, that happens too. I had a client that just decided to. We had a 8-foot pole out of the ground, and we had the equipment right next to basically below the pool, the infinity, and he decided to, instead of putting just a ground cover like we suggested it, no, he decided to put some tomato plants. So he was grabbing on the stakes and going right through it. And we have an 8-foot vessel that it's on top of us just draining out. There's no way to stop the leak.
Oh, man.
Because it's going down the hill.
Yeah.
There's no valve because the pools are already in the ground. So we have valves at the equipment, but we didn't have them underground because it's a trench.
Yeah.
So that communication is so important. It's so crucial. The pool guy is going like, "What are you doing here, Mr. Jones?" "Oh, my wife and I decided to put, a tomato, field here." It's like, "Well, I think you should check with JC. I mean, you have a lot of pipes here and things, so maybe you shouldn't."
Which is another advantage to the pool service man, seeing the pool,
Exactly.
knowing where the pipe's buried, where
Yes.
we're understanding the whole pool
Yeah.
as a system.
Exactly. And there's a lot of technology that comes into place. There's a lot of technology that's coming into place now as the pools get more complicated.
Yes.
So they're getting intricate, and there's a lot more places where issues can arise on service. So we want to avoid that. We want to have that communication and that rapport.
Yeah.
That just, ultimately he's servicing more pools for me because I'm going to keep giving him work, like you said.
Yeah.
There's plenty of work coming. So there's going to be plenty of work that can go to your route as well.
Yeah.
And eventually he can grow his business as well. Put more routes, put more guys, etc.
Yeah.
Train them, get them educated. So overall, it's a win-win situation.
Right. And that's you bring up the point of education. I think that's the real key. Pools are getting more and more complex. There's more and more things, accessories, components of a pool becoming available to do things that weren't possible even a few years ago. So it's important that you as the builder has to know this so that you can pitch it to the customer, install it properly. If it's on a set of plans, you need to be competent. But the pool professional, the service professional, has to keep up too. He's got to be at the classes learning how these things are installed, how they work, how they're maintained, how to incorporate them with automation, just how everything fits. And so I think one of the best things that I did for my business was I went to the Genesis 3 basic construction school. There's other ones out there, the variety. I think PHTA has one. It used to be APSP had one. Mm-hmm. There's new ones coming out. There's some exciting things on the horizon as far as education. But I thought I was going to maybe get into building and remodeling pools, and I got in a handful of projects under my belt, and I decided I hated it. Mm-hmm. My real love is the service industry, mm-hmm. and there are people that are way more qualified that have the financial clout to be able to take on these kind of projects that I didn't have. And so what happened out of that was I got introduced to the upper echelon of pool builders and was able to work with them as a service tech. It's the best thing I ever did for my business. It put me right where I want to be. I totally enjoy that. It's so much more fun, engaging, interesting to work on a complex estate level pool.
Right.
I'd rather do one of those pools than do 8 stops of little backyard pools, splash and dash.
Yes.
There's just so much more to keep you mentally engaged, keep you interested.
Yes.
The level of clientele that you deal with is pretty interesting sometimes.
Right.
And so it's really good. The other really good class that I took, since I end up servicing a lot of Vanishing Edge pools, is Genesis 3 has one taught by Skip Phillips, The Beauty of the Edge. Just
Correct.
a basic hour-and-a-half pool. But if you're servicing a Vanishing Edge pool, that class is worth its weight in gold in helping you understand.
You have to take that.
Yeah, and you understand why you want to keep the water flowing over it. You can answer all those questions. When the builder tells you this is how I want you to do it, you're like, yeah, okay, I know why. I'll do it. By the same token, I highly admire what you did, taking a CPO class, taking basic chemistry, the NPC startup class, because you're the kind of builder that I can talk to, and you understand my language. Having been to a construction class, I understand most of yours, and it just really kind of makes for a better relationship. And really, that's what everything comes back down to: building a relationship, mutual communication, and trust between a builder and a service technician. And if with both of us, being able to build that, find the right people and build it. Now, the other thing about going to those classes, and kind of crossover classes, you go to construction classes as a builder, you're going to meet other builders, and you're going to, you kind of create this little bubble. Same thing as a service tech, you go to chemistry classes and service-oriented classes at a trade show. There's a little bubble of service people, but to kind of do that crossover, you're going to meet the people to talk to. Even if it's a national show and you meet somebody from across the country,
Right.
you got somebody you can call if you've got a question. Hey, my service guy's telling me this,
Right.
what do you think about that? And so the more that we can, kind of build that crossover, understand each other's challenges, and work together to find ways
Right.
to solve them, I think that's going to go a long way towards taking this industry to where it needs to be in
Yes.
terms of professionalism and the way we're perceived by
Right.
homeowners.
And that exactly, I think it's the highlight, and where the industry is going. Everything is evolving, and now we have all these tools and all these communication tools. Now we have iPhones. I mean, I didn't even know how a camera. Half of the projects we built,
Right.
they were not documented.
Yeah.
So now having all these tools and all these relationships that you can build, and you can come together, and like you say, the bridge of education is huge. Has to happen. It has to work together. That's the only way things work. If you go to the doctor, well, the doctor is going to tell you, well, you need lab tests, and you're going to need x-rays. So there's other two specialties. So it's the same on the pool industry. We have all these specialities around too. But they all communicate, they all work together. Yeah, I've never seen a doctor bashing another one, in the middle of the ER. Well, same thing when you're inside the pool and you're talking, all this. So the education program is going to teach you what to do, what not to do, what should be done, and exactly how to elevate the standard, how to elevate your work, how can you make more money?
Right.
Because you're working intelligently. So you're working towards a goal. And you're not just working backwards, trying to either impress the homeowner or trying to do a better job or want him to collect more money. But if you show the homeowner you're gaining a status, showing him that this is how it's done. Oh, this is how JC said, that you had a log, that you're keeping things going. That also relieves completely, all the pressure. And I can also work better, make more pools, and don't deal with all the stuff.
Yeah.
I don't need to
once
go
you turn a
teach
pool over, you still have your interest in
Yes.
it. You still want to know how things are going with it, but you don't have that worry. By reducing that tension between the builder and the service,
Yes.
the homeowner can sense these things.
Oh, yeah.
So they relax. They feel good about their purchase. They feel good that it's being maintained and that it's in good hands. They can trust it, so that they can just relax and enjoy what they spent all that money on.
And you didn't have to sell anything.
Yeah.
And you already were served on a platter. Here's
Yeah.
the pool. Just do this and do that, and we're good.
Yeah.
So it works on both ends. And that education, like you said, is very important. All the trade shows have classes. All the trade shows have people very interesting, like you say, from other parts of the country. I have great relationship with builders like that, just because we were in the same place and taking the same class.
Mm-hmm.
And they have different conditions. They do different types of materials. And we learn from each other.
Yeah.
And that's key. Learning from each other, it just brings the industry standard, level higher, also a better relationship. And ultimately, the client wins.
Yeah.
He has a better pool, something he's going to enjoy. He's going to recommend you. And you want to be recommended. This is an industry that works like that. It's not an industry that we advertise on the newspaper. Hardly anybody gets a newspaper now these days on a driveway.
Yeah.
So everything is, on the internet, and they find you on the internet, and they're looking for someone on the internet.
Yeah.
Same thing
Or
with the
referrals.
service.
Referrals are huge.
Exactly.
And most of these level of pools, you're not going, as a service company, you're not going to solicit these companies, or these customers rather, by sticking a flyer in their mailbox.
Right.
They want to know who's coming on board.
Yes.
And so like you said, hand it to you on a platter. If you can, as a service company, and you want to get into that level of work, developing a relationship with a good high-end builder, a quality builder, is crucial, I think. This has been really an enlightening conversation. I hope it helps people in the service end of things and in the builder end of
Right.
things, to give them something to think about and think about their relationships. It's really all about making the client happy.
Yeah.
Why not have two people working toward that goal
Exactly.
than two people thinking they're doing it and pulling in opposite directions?
Exactly. It's the same industry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave, for the invite. It's really, really fun.
This has been a pleasure. It's nice to get to know you.
Same. Thank you.
A new voice in the industry, a resource for all, education for you. This is Pool Pro Podcast. Build relationships and share important news as we get ready for our next backyard adventure. Pool Pro Podcast. Backyard adventures are better together. Please take a moment to share, like, and review our content with all of those that would be interested.